What's up, everybody? This is Round by Round with Derek and Daniel, and today we're going to discuss a little bit of a concept and theory that I kind of see in training and what I've kind of seen in myself and what I've kind of seen helping my brother, and this is how to stack your training and with age and time and the different elements that come into training. So in training for any sport, for boxing, MMA, for any combat sport or any team sport, it all comes with different aspects of training. First, a guy that wants to train for sports should have a good baseline of endurance. All right. That should be the bottom of the pyramid. A good baseline of endurance, cardiovascular endurance. Because with cardiovascular endurance, everything else you do, everything else you build up is going to be that much easier. Because guess what? You're not going to be winded. So make that your base. Make cardiovascular fitness your base. What is the best thing to do for your cardiovascular fitness?
Run. Sprints.
Damn right. Damn right. Running. People hate that word. Oh, running, you're not gonna be as effective. Oh, it's calabolic. It's gonna eat all your muscle and this and that. Look, man. My whole thing on running is our ancestors were running for hundreds and thousands of years. You know what I mean? Hunters, man. We used to run down horses. We used to tire down horses, and then that's how we domesticated them. The natives would run down horses and domesticate them.
Yeah. Out of all mammals, we have the best endurance.
We have the best endurance. I know.
And why do you think that?
Because
of just thousands and thousands of years of hunting, dude.
Of adaptation and repetition. You know what I mean?
And nowadays, no one can even run a mile, dude.
And now everybody's scared to run. Everybody's like, oh, well, you'll die if you run. Oh, your knees will blow out. Or, oh, it's bad for your bone structure.
They have access to food whenever the hell they want.
Yeah. And that's why everybody's heavy as fuck now. You know what I mean? It's just the lack of movement, man. You know what I mean? In Africa, they would run down their prey as well. You know, all those big game animals, they'd run them down and then spear them to death. You know what I mean? It's just a crazy thing. We are made to run. We're a creature that's designed to run. Our gait cycle, the way we walk, is closely related to the way we run. We're designed for it, man. We're designed to hunt things and run things. Either to run towards something and hunt it or run away from something so we don't get eaten, killed. So, you want to build up a good cardiovascular base, I say run. You know what I mean? Adapt yourself to it. And if you can't run, let's say you're too heavy to run, walk. Start off walking. If you're a 300-pound guy and your knees will blow out if you do run. So walk. You know what I mean? You could at least do that and start walking quicker and quicker and get into jogging as you drop some pounds, and then as your body adapts to it, then you could start running lightly. You know what I mean? And it's all just gradually getting into it. I'm not telling everybody out there that's never ran before to go out and do a half marathon.
Run. Yeah.
Half marathon or something crazy, or even a mile is crazy to some people. But walk around your block, man. Go further and further each time and pick up the speed and time yourself. Running is one of those things, man, when it comes to cardiovascular endurance, there's numbers involved. And where there's numbers involved, you can improve on it and see improvement, okay? So think about this. Think about running an 18-minute 3-mile, which I think is a pretty good standard. It's what the Marine Corps
That's 6 minutes a mile, right?
6-minute miles.
That's 9 miles an hour.
No. 18-minute 3-mile, 6-minute miles, 3 of them. 18. So we can look at that and say, if you go look at people down the street and you see a bigger guy who has the wrong kind of weight on him, if he's fat, he probably can't do that. You could probably bet a good paycheck and be safe to say, yeah, I don't think he can run 3 miles under 20 minutes. But if you see a runner, and you see how he's adapted, and his calves and his Achilles look like springs. Yeah, he looks like a damn gazelle. He could probably run 3 miles under 20 minutes because his body's adapted for it. You know?
That's a quick pace.
Yeah, quick, man. That's a damn good quick pace.
That's a good pace.
The closest I've came to that, and it's a goal of mine to get an 18 3-mile, but it's a 19:08. 3 miles in 19 minutes, 8 seconds, and that's recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the best time I got in the Marine Corps. Is 19 minutes, 8 seconds, 3 mile. So I was like, it was decent. And I was pretty slender, you know what I mean? And I didn't have as much muscle mass as I do now, but I was pretty slender. But I've seen guys with a good amount of muscle mass that can do it because I think it's all in your calves and your cardiovascular, your capillaries, you know what I mean? If you have all those blood, all the capillaries through your body that can push blood out to those muscles, then you'll be able to do it cardiovascular wise and muscular endurance wise. It all lies in the ligaments and the calves and things to spring you into those steps, you know what I mean? Because if you're running flat-footed and you're stomping,
You're gonna tire her out, man.
you're gonna tire out, but you will blow your knees out. That's bad. That's a bad impact, and
You
that's
need
why
to like train yourself to run on your toes.
to run on your toes and round your foot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Heel first, round onto your toe. Or if you run on your toes, it might be a little bit hard on the front of your calf.
Well, it's just good. It's an extra spring.
That's it. Yeah,
and
it
it's
gets you
good
that
for
spring.
your calves, man.
Yeah, it's a good spring, but a heavier guy, that shit's gonna wear out. You know, so that's why you could start with walking and build that cardiovascular base and build upon it. If you do 3 miles, try to get that 3 miles quicker every time.
Well, what do you suggest for a guy like me, man? I don't weigh but 140.
So a smaller guy, you're gonna have a very easy time building up your cardiovascular endurance because you don't have much weight to lug around, and your body doesn't have to make so much capillaries to reach out into your body.
But I mean, I'm 5'10". I want to gain some size.
To gain size, that's all in the pyramid. So let me go back to this part, man. The base, okay. You're building a base with running, cardiovascular, okay. Now, the next thing I say is learn a skill. Whatever sport you're going to play. Football, basketball, baseball, boxing, MMA. Whatever the skill you want to acquire is. Learn to acquire it. Now you have your cardiovascular endurance. Now you can spend more time in that skill without getting gassed. Now, someone who's a smaller guy like you that wants to put on size, that's at the tip of the pyramid, and that would be strength training. Strength training. And, I would like to put this last for everybody because strength training is the cherry on top. It's the icing on the cake. It's what's going to make everything else better. If you keep all those abilities. But for a guy who's a hard gainer, doing all the conditioning and keeping all that and cardiovascular endurance and muscular endurance is only going to hinder you because you're burning off all these calories that you, as a hard gainer, aren't keeping on to anyway. So your body, it's hard for you to keep weight on. So when you do an extra activity, you're burning all that off. So for a hard gainer, I would say take 2 years out of your training career and just lift weights. And I think that's the only way someone who's a hard gainer is going to get bigger. They're going to eat a little bit more and only lift weights. And that'll make everything else better. And it will make everything bigger. Because if you take a guy who could squat 405, I can promise you will not find anybody out there with chicken legs.
Doing that shit, yeah.
They could squat 4 plates aside. You're not going to find that. You know what I mean? You're not going to find anybody with no chest benching 3 plates aside. You're not going to see somebody with a sunken chest go and sit on the bench and hit 3 plates aside. It doesn't happen. You know what I mean? You're not going to find anybody with a narrow shoulders or no muscle on their shoulders hitting 2 plates aside on the shoulder press, on the standing press. You're not going to see it. So the best way to get bigger, you ask? Do your basic big compounds. Big exercises get you big. You know what I mean? Always remember that. If an exercise uses big movers to move big weight, it's going to get you big because then your body's going to adapt. All right, well, we're using all this muscle mass to move all this weight. Well, let's put some more muscle on so we can make it easier for us. But you keep pushing that adaptation by adding more and more weight gradually. So, a method that I like to use is every other day you're doing 3 big movements. And the 3 big movements I like to start someone off with is the squat, the barbell back squat, because you could do the most weight on the barbell back squat, standing press, and the barbell row, pin lay row. Those 3 exercises. Now, if that individual can do dips and pull-ups after the fact, I would have him do some dips and pull-ups on his off days or on the days after he trains. But those 3 big movements have to be progressing every time.
Okay.
5 sets of 3, 5 sets of 5.
And you got me on a workout program right now, right?
Yeah, training program, yeah.
So, my issue would be gaining size like he was talking about. But I still like to do boxing, but I'm gonna have to sacrifice it for a little while.
Well, work on different aspects, everybody. Work on your skills, because if you work on a boxing skill, let's say if you work on your footwork, if you just work on that, leave your power punches alone. If you got good, decent power in your punches, leave it alone. Sacrifice, you know what I mean? To get something that's going to stick around a lot, you know what I mean? Because once you build strength, it doesn't go away.
I mean, I've already took a break on it too, going to school, coming back from it. I still have the power, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. You still have, it's going to be easy to come back to, you know what I mean? Muscle memory, your body's going to have that old motor engram somewhere in there. And once you start doing that activity again, that pathway will build back up quicker. You know what I mean? But with strength training, once you pack on muscle, once you pack on strength, that's the last thing. Away. It'll never go away. That's the last thing that's going to leave your body. Because think of an old person. There's old people out there that they can't walk, or they have a hard time walking. The older you get, the harder you have moving around, harder time you have walking around.
You may have just never done.
There's old people out there who use walkers, they use canes, or in chairs sometimes, and it's unfortunate. A lot of old people, they suffer falls and break bones. But you think if these older people were to take a couple of years strength training, maybe earlier in life, even as late as in your 60s, even as late as in your 70s, you know what I mean? You could still strength train. You could still do that. You know what I mean? An older person. And it's only going to benefit them, because then your body's going to adapt. When you're older, it's going to take much, much longer. And you'll never get to where you could have gotten when you were younger. But it'll help. You know what I mean? Because your body's will be like, well, we have this stress that we need to adapt to. And it'll adapt to it. And then moving around and interacting with your environment becomes that much easier, because now you're stronger. You know what I mean? So going back to strength training for a smaller guy, I would do it to where every other day you're strength training, and every other day you progress a little bit more. You add 5 pounds to the bar. You add 2.5 pounds to the bar. Add a little bit of weight every day that you train, which is every other day, to those 3 big compound movements, to where you can't do it no more. And then once you can't do it no more, then switch those movements up. And the movements you would want to switch to are the deadlift, the weighted dip, and the weighted pull-up. And the reason I picked these 3 is because now you have your hip hinge, your horizontal press, and your vertical pull. All right. So when you were doing the squat pattern, you were doing the squat and you were doing the vertical press and the horizontal pull. Now you're just flipping everything around. Instead of doing a squat and you're doing a hip hinge, instead of doing a vertical push, you're doing a horizontal push. Instead of doing a horizontal pull, now you're doing a vertical pull. So now you're just switching up and now you can build on those. And if you've been doing your dips and pull-ups, now when you add weight, that weight's going to start skyrocketing. You know what I mean? You can add as easy as a 2.5, then a 5 pound, then a 7.5, 10 pound, 12.5, 50, and on and on and on until those numbers are big. 100, 200 pounds. You know what I mean? Imagine, you hit a pull-up with 3 plates, 3 plates attached to your waist. You think you're going to have a small back?
No.
I didn't think so. You know what I mean? If you are doing the weighted dips with 4 plates, 180 pounds, you think you're going to have a small chest? No. Hell no. You know what I mean? Moving big weights gets you big. And eating food and resting. You know what I mean? Getting a lot of sleep. I would say at least get 8 hours of sleep. Because your body only builds muscle. Your body is only in an anabolic state when it's sleeping. That's when your body recovers. That's when your body builds the muscle.